Fariburz ibn Sallar, better simply known as Fariburz I, was the 16th Shah of Shirvan, ruling from 1063 to 1096. His reign saw many major political balance changes in Caucasus, including expansion by the Seljuqs. He was considered a ruler with great diplomatic skills, and his kingdom extended from Mughan to Kumuk and Alania. Reign clash with the Shaddads on the 20th of February 1063. Fariburz's father Sallar died, and thus Fariburz became the new ruler of Shirvan, although he even already controlled most of the kingdom during his father's reign. In March, the Shaddadid ruler Abul-Asvar Shavura invaded his domains, captured the Quilamian castle, and then withdrew back to Aran. However, some time later, he returned to Shirvan and once again began raiding it. The Shirvanians, who fought against him, were defeated and many of them were taken captive and had the riches taken. Shavura then marched towards the capital of Shirvan, Shamaki. There he seized many riches, captured the wife of Sallar, and then went back to Aran. On July, Shavura once again returned to Shirvan, where he had villages, crops, and houses destroyed. Fariburz, powerless to do anything, sent his son Afridun to gain aid from the ruler of Sarra, whom Afridun was related to through his mother. However, the ruler of Sarra declined his request, and after 3 months, Afridun returned to Shirvan. In January 1064, Shavura invaded Shirvan for the 4th time, where he seized several towns, and forced Fariburz to pay him 40,000 dinars. On June 1064, Shavura restored Quilamian to Fariburz in return of extra 40,000 dinars. Hostilities with people of Derbent. In 1065, the people of Derbent revolted and killed its ruler, the Hashimid Mansa ibn Abd al-Malik. However, unfortunately for the rebels, Mansa was a cousin of Fariburz and had good relations with him, which made him raise an army and attack Derbent in order to avenge him, destroying many villages around the city. A battle shortly ensued at a bridge, which resulted in the defeat and massacre of the rebels. Fariburz then plundered Derbent and withdrew back to Shirvan. Fariburz later returned to Derbent and began raiding around the city. This hit the people of Derbent heavily and forced them to free Fariburz's paternal aunt Shamkulia and pay tribute. This made a certain Mufare, who is called the Chief of Chiefs of Derbent, request aid from the ruler of Sarra, who agreed to help him. Sometime later, Mufare, with an army which included his own men and some Saririans, went forth to besiege the city of Shabaran, but was shortly defeated by Fariburz, who managed to capture him. The people of Derbent then finally surrendered to Fariburz, who had the city rebuilt. On the 30th of January 1066, Fariburz appointed his son Afridun as the city's governor, who was warmly received by its people. Clash with the Turks. However, Fariburz soon faced problems with the rising power, the Turks, who had raided his domains and the territories of the Kurds, taking much booty. Fariburz tried to make the Turks leave by paying them, but this did not work, and the Turkish warlord Kara Tegan arrived to Shirvan for the 2nd time, this time being followed by Fariburz's paternal uncle Mamlun ibn Yazid. Kara Tegan shortly besieged Shamaki and ravaged its surroundings, bringing great destruction. The situation became so hard that Fariburz had to send his studs to Maskar. In January 1067, for an unknown reason, Fariburz had some people from Shamaki crucified, including his chamberlain Lashkari ibn Rahman. Meanwhile, Kara Tegan resumed his raiding in Shirvan, destroyed many villages and abandoned towns, and kidnapped women and children. He then laid siege to Shamaki once again. The situation became more difficult for Fariburz when an army consisting of 2,000 Turkish troops arrived as reinforcements to Karategan. These Turks shortly tried to trick Fariburz by sending him a message which said, "The Sultan has sent us to help thee and to drive Karategan from thee." They then arrested Karategan and Mamlin and asked Fariburz to come to them so that they could give him the prisoners. However, Fariburz did not fall for the bait and remained in his residence. The Turks then freed Karategan and Mamlin and continued the siege of Shamaki. Meanwhile, Fariburz secretly sent a messenger to the chamberlain of the Seljuk ruler Alparslan, who was the overlord of Karategan and the Turks who had been raiding Caucasus. The messenger gave 6,000 dinars to the chamberlain in return that he should give Mamlin to Fariburz, who wanted to kill him. The chamberlain then invited Mamlin to a festival, who accepted his invitation. During the festival, Mamlin got drunk and after he was permitted to leave, he got ambushed and killed by 3 of Fariburz's men, which included his cousin Lashkar-Zitan, his servant Shadtikan and his chamberlain Namdar ibn Muzaffar. The Turks then withdrew back to their territories while Fariburz agreed to pay the Turks a yearly tribute of 30,000 dinars. The rebellion of the son of Georgi and the events that happened after. In April 1067, a unnamed son of a certain Georgi rebelled against Fariburz and captured the Daskar al-Hussein castle, but after some time, ceded it to Afsatan I, who was the ruler of Caucasus. Fariburz then marched towards the castle in order to recapture it but was unable to and went back to Shamaki. During the same year, Karategan once again arrived to Shirvan, this time peacefully, and he was given a daughter of Fariburz's uncle Gubid in marriage. On June, Lashkar-Zitan was killed near Kabala by some people from a place named Kuni. On October, Fariburz's paternal aunt Shamkuya died and was buried next to her father in Shabaran. Dispute with Alparslan, the invasion of Qom and the betrayal of Gush-Dahim. During the end of the year of 1067, the Seljuk ruler Alparslan went to Aran, where Fariburz was waiting for him with gifts. Later in 1068, Fariburz aided Alparslan during one of his campaigns. When Fariburz returned to Shirvan, he marched towards Kuni, where he killed many of its people and ravaged the place in order to avenge Lashkar-Zitan. Sometime later, when Alparslan returned from his campaigns against the Byzantine Empire, the inhabitants of Derbent objected to Alparslan about the capture of some of their chiefs by Fariburz. Alparslan ordered him to free them, which he did. Nevertheless, Alparslan had Fariburz imprisoned. Meanwhile, Karategan fled from Shamaki to Maskar but was killed there. Furthermore, the brother of Fariburz, Gush-Dahim, fled to Lezgistan, carrying the tribute which Fariburz had to pay Alparslan. After some days, Fariburz was released and sent back to Shirvan, but he had to in return pay a great amount of money. On July 1068, Fariburz's son Afridun left Derbent and returned to Shirvan. Sometime later, Fariburz found out that Gush-Dahim, who still carried the tribute he had to pay Alparslan, had left Lezgistan and arrived at Derbent, where he took refuge with the chiefs of the city. By November, Fariburz had raised an army and thereafter marched towards Derbent. A battle shortly ensued near the city which lasted a few hours and neither of the sides were able to emerge victorious. Fariburz thus returned to his encampment, while the supporters of Gush-Dahim went back to the city. After some time, Fariburz once again attacked Gush-Dahim and his supporters. During the battle, Mufare, who seems to have been freed and still served as the chief of chiefs of Derbent, joined Fariburz. Fariburz. The forces of Fariburz almost managed to overcome the forces of Shah, but due to the bravery of some of Shah's men, Fariburz was in the end defeated. However, some time later, Mughan managed to seize some parts of Derbent and after much fighting, managed to seize all of Derbent. While Shah fled to Lesgistan, Fariburz, along with his son Afridun, then went to Derbent, and after 4 days he went back to Shirvan, while Afridun was once again appointed as the governor of the city. The loss of Derbent, the accession of Malik Shah I, the Shadid-Shirvanian alliance, and the invasion of Aga in November 1071. Alp-Arslan appointed his slave Yagma as the governor of Derbent. When Yagma arrived to the city, he read the letter which stated that he was appointed by the Seljuk ruler to rule Derbent, and thus Fariburz was unable to do anything. He departed his son and men out of the city. Furthermore, Yagma also demanded Fariburz to cede Maskar, which he also did. During the same year, Shah died in Shaki and was buried in Shamaki. In 1072, Fariburz made an alliance with Shavur's son Fadl II, whom he along with destroyed the castle of Mal, which had earlier been captured by Ifsatuni. On the 15th of December, Alp-Arslan died, and after a brief dynastic war, he was succeeded by his son Malik Shah I. In 1074, a force of Turkic warriors under another Turkic warlord named Aga ibn Bukar arrived to Shirvan. The latter claimed that Malik Shah had given him Shirvan as a part of his own domains. Fariburz, however, tricked him by giving gifts and money, which made Aga feel comfortable with him. Unexpectedly, Fariburz suddenly had him imprisoned, but later changed his mind due to his fear of Malik Shah. He freed Aga with his own hands, made a pretext, and gave him gifts once again. Aga then falsely acted that he had pardoned and fled from his court, raised an army and invaded Shirvan, where he ravaged the country, but in the end was forced by Malik Shah to restore what he had destroyed, which he did in 1075. During the same year, Fariburz conquered most of Lesgistan. Death and legacy. Fariburz later died in California, 1096, and was succeeded by his son Manuchi II. Although Fariburz was during his late reign a nominal vassal of Seljuqs, he minted his coins in his own name. According to the Persian medieval poet Kakani, Fariburz was the first Shirvanshah ever to make a pilgrimage to Mecca. His vizier was a Dalamite named Bahar al-Din al-Kakui, whose family was descended from the military leader Mughan ibn Kaki and held the vizier office for several centuries.